Hi 803, it's Miss English and I'm trying something new again. This is a review for the Unit 3 exam that you took on Friday. The results were not fantastic, so I thought we'd take a minute and try to go over things. Question number 1 just wants to know what the equation of the line would be on the coordinate grid. We know that the equation of any line is y equals mx plus b, where m is equal to the slope. So for the slope, I'm going to first of all find the difference between those 2 points. So my 2 points are 5 and 0 and 0 and negative 2. So because I can see that it intersects right here on the y-axis, my slope is going to be negative 2, and I can add that in right away. For my slope, I'm going to start at my negative 2, and I can see that's going down by 2. So I go up 2 and over 5. So I'm rising 2 and over 5, and this happens to be my slope. So my slope is 2/5 positive, and my correct answer is A. Moving on to the second question. And once again, you'll always find that these are all going to be a little different. Second question is, a line contains the points 4, 2, and 0, negative 1. So I know that the y-intercept is going to be negative 1, and the reason that I know that it's going to be negative 1 is because the x-intercept is 0. So I can look really quick and see, well, it's not that, so get rid of that. And it's not this, get rid of this, get rid of this. Technically, I could be finished just by seeing only one answer choice has a y-intercept of negative 1, but let's go on and find the slope just to be sure. So remember that I am subtracting my y from my y and then my x from my x. So I have negative 1 minus 2 divided by 0 minus 4. I get negative 3 divided by negative 4. The negatives cancel, and the slope is a positive 3/4. So I can confirm that this is the correct answer because it has the right y-intercept, and it also has the right slope. Okay, let me change back to my pen, and let's move on to question number 3 on the exam. Moving down, I'm given 4 graphs, and I'm just told to find the graph that has a slope of 3. And the reason that I know it's the slope of 3 is it says that the substance increases at a constant rate of 3 degrees Celsius per hour. So here's the temperature on the x-axis, on the y-axis, and here is the time, or the hour, on the x-axis. So all I'm going to do is actually try to find the slope of each one of these lines. And I'm going to choose D because it looks approximately right. So I look at my first point, which is 0, 20, 0 and 20. And then I look at my second point, which is 1. X is 1, y is 23. And I find the slope. I subtract my y's, and I put them on top, right here. Then I subtract my x's, and I put them on the bottom here. So 20 minus 23 is negative 3. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. The 2 negatives cancel. And the correct answer is indeed D, because it's the only one that has a slope of 3. You can check the other ones out just to make sure I'm right, but I'm pretty sure I am. All right, let's move on now to question number 4. What is the equation of a line which passes through some point 4 and 2 and has a y-intercept of negative 2? I could draw it out if I wanted. Not completely necessary. I know that if there's negative 1, and negative 2, so my intercept is down here someplace. But then I'm going to find the slope, which is probably more important. So once again, I'm going to use my slope formula. It passes through this point, and so one of the points has to be, and maybe this is the tricky part, one of the points has to be 0 and -2. So I subtract my y's, 12 minus a -2, right here, 12 minus a -2, and then 4 minus 0. When I subtract a negative, I add a positive. 12 minus a -2 is 14. 4 minus 0 is 4. I can reduce those down. My final answer is 7/2. Remember that all this is 7/2 is going to be my slope, S-L-O-P. Can't really write that. So I'm going to insert that over here for my x. And I can see that my -2 is my y-intercept. I insert that here. And the correct answer is B. Moving on now to question 5. Take a second to refresh your notes. Question 5 says, which graph does not represent a function of f and of x? I'm sorry. So for any of these, you just use your straight line test, and I can see that pretty much I can put a straight line through any one of these graphs. As I put my straight line through it, let's see, I can put a straight line over A, it doesn't cross twice. I can put a straight line over B, doesn't cross twice. I can put a straight line anywhere on D, it doesn't cross twice. But the tricky part about this step function is this circle right here and this circle right here. If I put a straight line right through it, it would intersect two places. It fails the straight line test. Therefore, this is not a function. It fails the straight line test. Again, straighten your notes up. Make sure that you've got this solved for the next problem. And we'll go on down to the next problem, which is the cost of goldfish. So for the cost of goldfish, I have a table, and I can see that I have the x is my number of goldfish here on my left, right? So the number of goldfish, and the cost of the goldfish is my y. So I'm going to just say, well, 5 times some number k, remember this is a proportional relationship, so I'm going to look back at what I know as being y equals some k times x. Ooh, this is messy. So in order to find out what my k is, I divide 150 by 5 and I get 0.3 or 30 cents. So I look down over my choices and say the cost increases 30 cents each time one goldfish is added. And that's correct, because I know that each goldfish is 30 cents. If I have 10, I multiply it by 30, I get $3. 15 times 30, I get $4.50, etc. So the rest of them, you can read through them, but they're all wrong, so forget about them. Select number 1 and then move on to now question number 7. Question number 7 is a function question, and it really just wants you to find which one of these functions is a one-to-one relationship. So one-to-one, what I'm saying is there is only one y for one x, and that is the definition of a function. Now what I need to do is actually test each one. So I can see -2 just maps to 3, 1 to 3, 3 to -3. That's fine because my x, each x has one y. I don't have two x's that have the same y. Same here. -1, 2 to 4, 3 to 7, 4 to 10. That's all right. -2 to 3, 1 to 3, 3 to 3, 5 to 3. So here you might say, well, wait a minute. They all map to 3. It's okay that I have different x's that map to the same y. What's not okay is this. I have a 3 that maps to 4, but I also have 3 that maps to 4. So this is what's not okay, and it makes t not a function. That can be tricky, so let me know if you have any questions on the mapping and the function. Let's go down now to question 2 functions. We didn't work too much on this in class, so you had to figure this one out on your own. The first thing you needed to do was figure out function A. So function B is given to you. It's just right here. Function A was trickier. You had to figure it out yourself. So function A says y equals 2 less than 4 times the value of x. So this is the function for A. What I'm going to do then is set up a function table just like I did for B. I put in some values, and basically I can see that while B adds 2 each time, the result adds 4. And for A, I also add 2 each time, but my results go up by 8. So if I go through each one of these, function A and B have the same rate of change. That's not true. A has a greater rate of change. That's true. But let's check the other ones. Function A and B have negative. That's not true. And function A has a negative and B has a positive. That's not true either. And my final answer is B. Okay, we're getting now down to the end. That was the first one that you really didn't see. This is a bicycle ride. We spent a lot of time on these graphs, so I'm hoping this wasn't too hard for you. So let's go back to my highlighter, and it says which statement isn't true. Which statement is true. So they went on a 6-hour ride. They start at 0, they end at 6. The club members rode at a constant rate. Well, that's not true. If they rode at a constant rate, the line would have just gone straight like this, which it didn't. The members stopped for a rest. Well, if you look right here, during hours 3 and 4, the members didn't go any distance at all, which means they stopped for a rest. So I can see that this one's correct. B is definitely correct, but let's check out the other ones. The number of miles traveled increased continuously. No, continuously would be that same straight line. The number of miles traveled increased some of the time and decreased some of the time. No, we actually don't go backwards in any case. They never go backwards. We stop, but we never go backwards. So the correct answer in this case is B. Moving along, we're now down to which is a linear function. And again, when you see these, just know the number 1 rule. Both of these are the same. The exponent of x must be 1. So I know for it to be a straight line, the exponent must be 1. In this case, the exponent, what is that? That is -1, because the x is on the bottom. This is squared. This is 1/3. So right here, this is the only one where x, the exponent, is -1, and B is the correct answer. Again, same policy or same rule on the next question. Which equation does not represent a linear function? The exponent must be 1. In this case, does not. So 2x minus 6, that actually would be a linear function. So this is really meant to trick you, and I'm kind of sorry about that, but I'm assuming the state exam will try to trick you as well. This is 2 squared. So 2 squared is okay, but the x is still 1, just like the x here is 1. So this one's okay. And this one, the x is also 1. Here's my problem. The x is 2. So this is the only one, D, that is incorrect because it's 2x squared. Okay, and the second to last one, 12, the graph below. We practiced this one in class. So as we go through to look at this graph, it just asks me for which interval is x of the function decreasing and nonlinear. So the words are decreasing and nonlinear. So here it's decreasing, but it's a perfectly straight line, so that part's fine. Here it's decreasing, but you see the bulge? The bulge makes it look like it's parabolic. Therefore, it's between -2 and 0 that it's decreasing. And that is answer B. Last one I'm just going to show you real quick. I'm about running out of time. I'm at my 15-minute max. The cost to rent a paddle boat, so I have a fixed cost of $7.